Hello, everybody, and welcome to Girl Let's Agree to Disagree. We are your hosts. It's Braden White. I'm Jessica Milagros, and we're here to talk about BB Canada's season 11 Veto recap. It's week 3, Braden? I don't know. Is it week 1
I mean,
or is
technically,
it week 2 or week 3? Because
I mean,
technically, I would have called it
technically,
2.
it's week 3, but like realistically, I think it's week 2, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's
Like
why. I
they've
just,
been there, I think, 3 weeks because we had that
yeah.
week of no eviction. But like game wise, it's like week 2. It feels like.
It is. Yes, correct. Well, I mean, we're just gonna call it week 3 since they're all calling it week 3, but we do know this is only the second veto. And I mean, we can say week 3, because I guess this will be the third person out tomorrow,
Technically, yeah.
right? So then we'll be going into week 4. But before we do anything else, we just want to thank absolutely everybody who's here with us right now. Make
Or
sure that you're clicking, liking, subscribing, hitting the bell to receive those notifications so that you know when we are live. Braden and I have kind of decided that we're going to be doing these on Wednesday after the show. So that is TBD
like you never
until
know,
we
girl.
decide to like go out at night and have a
Yeah,
little
like, but it's
drink
not
or
today.
something. It's not today, so we're just like, yeah, let's talk. Super chat is also a great way to support the channel. So if you have any questions for us, let us know, so we can see it. And hi to everybody on the chat.
Hello.
Yes, I agree. Shy boy, this was such a good episode.
Hey, can't lie.
I believe it's probably one of the better episodes, if not the best episode so far of BB Can 11. What do you think?
Absolutely. But you know I love drama, so I'm like, anytime there's drama, I'm like, it eats. Best
We yeah,
episode yet.
we were with our popcorn, and I was just waiting for it, because if
I was
anybody's
reading it.
watching the digital dailies, they know that there was going to be some drama today. It's been gearing up for the past few days. I literally tuned in just to see what the hell this Vanessa Zach argument was about, because they were giving us very little on the dailies, and then all of a
Teasing.
sudden, bam, it delivered. And I was like, yes, girl, do it.
I
Fucks up your
honestly wanted
game,
more
but
though,
do
you
it.
know? I wanted more, but it was good enough for what it was, you know?
Yes, I mean, we could have definitely seen more, but I think that one of the better things right now, we are kind of in a, like, in going into week 3. I think the the fans and everybody else, and even maybe the casuals, we're starting to get to know these characters as if they're not real people, but these house guests a little bit more. We're starting to remember their names. We're starting to understand the relationships.
That part.
We have had dailies for a little over 2 weeks now, so we're starting to kind of understand how those kind of play in, and they give us just a little bit, not everything, unfortunately, but they give us a lot of background information, at least stuff that we want to jot down and like watch and hope that they deliver
Yep.
during these
Very that.
episodes. So I think that we're in like a good space right now where we're like, yes, I'm excited to see these episodes, because I want to see if what I'm guessing is correct. I mean, at least that's
Mhm.
how I feel. How would you feel about it, Brayden?
No, I definitely agree. I think that now that I feel like things have like settled a bit and like the game seems to be like starting, it seems to be a little more interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there is still a few rotten apples that I think need to fall from that BB Can 11 tree, but for the most part, I'm enjoying it. For the most part, I'm enjoying it.
Absolutely. So just to recap, because we're only doing these once a week, right? And the last
Mhm.
time that Braden and I spoke, we were talking. It was actually 1 week ago from today. So, um, JM had not been evicted yet, right? He had just
Yeah,
been backdoored, and unfortunately, he was taken out. It was a sad day for us. Made zero
period.
sense at least for some of us. Did
Well,
not make any sense.
I think that's what I think most of the house is like even starting to realize from like the digital dailies and even like part of this episode is they're like, why do we even get rid of him? Like, for what? Which honestly must be really hard for John Michael though to like be at home watching and be like, I told y'all, like it makes no sense. But here we are.
Absolutely. Joseph says, "This is Canada. They depend on the viewership." I was shocked how honestly they showed and how much of an ass Zach is. Actually, let's talk about that, break, because I'm actually very surprised too. They are look, Zach's not my cup of tea. I think it's not going to be a shocker. I don't really care for men that act like this in the house. That, outside and, like when I meet him, which I probably eventually will at some point in my life, or, see him, um, that might be a different story. And I personally don't care because I'm not playing against him. But had I been in this house, none of this shit would go down. Not none of this shit, but like I would not really be standing for the type
Oh,
that this man is portraying. Like, I don't like to be
same babe.
maintained. I don't like to be gaslit. I don't like the arrogance that's coming off of this man. And I know that a couple of my friends do really love him. I understand that he is a part of the show that is kind of needed because we do need that villainous,
Of course.
yeah, we need that pull, right? It can't
Mhm.
always be, everybody is just oh so happy. I mean, I think that there's always going to be this part where people are trying to scheme and get each other out, but this he is just such a polarizing character.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just like you said, like, it's a lot of, like I think this is my thing. If Zach was just like a villain in the sense of like, oh, he's just like backstabbing everyone, like scheming, manipulating people. I don't think there'd be as much of like an issue that people have. I think, like you said, it's the way that he talks to people or the way that he comes across to people in the house and the things that he says that rub people the wrong way. Not necessarily like, oh wow, he's controlling this week's HOH like he controlled last. Like, oh my god, I can't stand him. I think it's like, oh, how are you gonna talk to someone like that? Like, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Weird flex, but
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, I was not caring for any of that, but, we digress, right? So they got let's go back. We do not have JM in the house anymore, unfortunately. He was
Yeah,
backdoored. It was a unanimous vote. Crazy that the
11-0.
whole house thought, "Okay, let's just all vote together." Usually a very common thing to do during a first
Mhm.
week. And then we go into the HOH. We find out that Dan, who was on the block the week prior, is now HOH, a complete and total wild card, not really knowing who he would put up. We find out in yesterday's episode, or if you were watching the dailies, that he put up Renee and Hope. Hope only because Hope actually volunteered to be on the block as a good this reminds me something that your bros would do on your season, Brayden. If am I
Yeah,
incorrect in stating this?
I mean, I don't know if they'd ever volunteer,
Well, I
especially
mean,
this
one
this
didn't use the veto on himself,
well, I
so
mean, I
let's
don't think this early? I just love how, like, Hope really thinks that he's, like, hacking the system, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask to get put on the block, so that way I
yeah,
have to play in the veto, like, I got this guy right here." I'm like,
he's so
"Oh,
smart.
babe."
I just gotta say, it's a good thing that that man looks so good because
It's also because he's
I
so young,
it
you
is.
know?
I do feel for him. Like sometimes I have to think like, "Boo, you can be like my son." It's just like you're just that young. But I mean, he's a 23-year-old that's kind of acting on a like 19-year-old level, I want to
I
say.
think
No
that's
disrespect. I
honestly
mean, with
I
all
think
due
that's just
respect.
how most men are? Don't they say that men reach, like, emotional maturity at 25?
I don't even know. I don't know. My husband's 12 years older than me, and I think we just fied right now. That's about so I don't
I
know
just
if
think
it's
that I think it's because he's not, like, a super fan of the show, so I think, like, in his mind, he's like, "Oh, in order to, like, be important or to, like, have status in the game, like, I just have to
yeah.
win everything. So, like, if I can get this win, then, like, everyone's gonna respect me and wanna work with me."
Yeah. Was it Froki Productions says this season has so much unlikable people. Respectfully disagree. I actually really like the cast, even the unlikable ones, because I think they're a tolerable unlikable. I mean, even though like I
Mm.
said, I don't care for Zach. I mean, Bray can say completely different. Like Bray,
I said there's a few bad apples. That's all I
look.
said.
See, he's not going to give all the I don't care what I say, but Brayden's just like,
Girl, you're in another country. I gotta. These people can be my neighbors.
that's so true, though. I'm not gonna see them unless I'm in Canada or
Girl,
like on the other side of this computer. But other than that, we ain't, we ain't
literally,
really
I'm like, you
vibing like
never have
that.
to communicate with them ever again. You know?
Yeah, I think
So
you know what? I think there's a lot of like there's a lot of good people. I think
oh
the
yeah, for sure.
fact that a lot of them are not game players makes it messy, which is what I was looking forward to. This is what we were talking about during the cast assessment,
Hmm.
right? Was just that they are not going to be game players, therefore it's going to be a very messy season. Maybe we're not looking at it from a like complete strategic sense, and they're not going to be making these crazy game moves, but they kind of are, but they're just kind of like stupid game moves, right? Because it's like who backdoors someone in the first you know
That and like,
week, and then also backdoors again the second week, and it just happens to be the same guy, and he's just like
yeah, and
totally
like
gunning
winning
for everything.
unnecessarily, and
Yeah, so
there's a
let's talk
lot.
about that because like I said, Dan is HOH.
Yes.
He puts up Renee. Hope volunteers to put himself on the block. And then when Renee comes up to him and like kind of tries to figure out where his head's at, he admits that yes, that you're my target, Renee, knowing that there is this backdoor option to put up
I
Roberto.
don't so, like, I don't know if, like, maybe Dan just, like, doesn't do well under pressure, but the way that the way that Renee was like, "So, what about this? And what about this? And then what about this?" And he was like, well, there's, like, this thing called, like, I think it's called Big Brother, and I don't know, like, I think I'm playing it, but I'm not sure." And then when she was like, "So I'm the biggest threat to your game right now. I'm on the top of your list."
Miss Dead
Literally,
Last can't win a comp to save her
she's like,
life,
"I'm at the
was
top."
on the block with you, but you are the biggest threat to my game.
And he's like, "Yeah." Even you could tell, like, he was like, "Huh, the math isn't mathing."
It
But she
is
was like,
not. It is
okay,
not.
sure."
It's like, I'm sorry, boo. You should. I mean, I think even Renee smelled the bullshit in that, and she's just like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like
because she
how
was like, "What?" She's
on
like,
the
"What did
set
I
in the
say?"
second week, I'm your biggest target, and you can tell the smells of and Renee was on point. Like she was like, it smells of somebody else literally running your
Period.
HOH, and she is not wrong because we see in the episode that it is Zach once again trying to manipulate and control and control the HOH. Kudos to him for being or finding people vulnerable enough and dumb enough to be able to
Not
do
vulnerable
this.
enough.
I mean, it's insane. I think seeing it with Santina is actually it could possibly make sense given that it's week 1. There's a lot of like mixed emotions.
Yeah.
You're trying
Week
to get
1,
your
you're just
feel
trying
of
to
the
find something,
house.
yeah.
But this man Dan, like he is literally just saying, I'm observing, like he's trying to figure out where he fits in. It's Mr. Too early for alliances and all of this stuff, and he's literally letting somebody else
Well,
manage
I
his
was just
HOH.
confused because I'm pretty sure from, like, the digital dailies, Dan was very much like, "Oh, I know that I'm kind of, like, in the middle of the house, and I don't really have anyone that, like, I'm necessarily loyal to, and I know that people, are working behind my back, so I don't really know, like, how to position myself." And then come to the episode, and he's like, "Zach's my number 1, we're ride or dying." I'm like, Where did that come from?" I'm like, "I thought you were playing the middle of the house and didn't have any allies, so now."
We this is not something that the dailies prepared us for, obviously. Like
No, I
none of
was
us
like,
knew
"Huh?"
where Zach, none of us knew where Dan was. None of us knew what Dan was doing. Nobody knew Dan had allies at all. Like we didn't know what he was doing. And then we realized that it's his, that's his number 1 is Zach. Jewelry says, despite the gaslighting and him being an ass, which I agree. Zach is doing quite well playing the game. Actually, Julie, I thought so, but I will say that it feels like his time to leave is near and dear. I don't think that he is going to be staying for very long. I think that he needed to play, him being him, I think he needed to play a lower key game.
Very
Um
that.
and he also um because okay, look, and I'm going to compare this to my season because it's the only one that I know, and I look, Mickey Jackson, he won our season and he was a comp beast and he was all of these things even in us, but he had a showmance that kept him from doing a lot of things that kept him safe, because if he
Mhm.
wasn't winning the comps, she was winning the comps. He was surrounded by a very tight alliance. And when he talked to people, he played it completely low and under the radar type of game. In sense, it didn't look like he was manipulating votes. That was actually Jack's, role. Maybe his fall guy. Maybe this is kind of like a Ty and Zach is a Jack and Jackson situation. Who knows? Um, but at the same time, he was also a comp beast. And Zach, you cannot be a comp beast if you have five other bros that are just as good. Unless you're trying to do a pretty boy situation, which we see that this is not happening. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
cracks.
I think that I think a big thing too is that I just don't think that he is good at, like, allocating like, he doesn't trust other people to be able to complete things, you know what I mean? I think that's, like, a big part of his issue within, like, his alliances, that's what I've seen so far, is that, like, I think he has trouble being like, "Okay, Ty, you go deal with this, and then, like, I'll deal with this, and I trust that you'll be able to handle it." And instead he's like, "No, I'll go do it too. I mean, you can talk to them as well, but I'll also be talking to them, and then I'll also be talking to everyone else." And then, you see it when he's in that little, library room, he's like, "Oh, I'm the one that keeps having to take the fall for everything, so, like, you need to own up." But it's like, how when you try to take the accountable for everything?
Absolutely. And even I agree with that. And even the way that he gaslights and talks down to the own people in his alliance,
Period.
as if what he says is good for the whole, not listening to what his other alliance members are saying, and saying that they're wrong, like saying that things are
Oh, yeah,
ludicrous or things are absurd.
his little
that
famous line of, "I'm not gonna tell you what to think,
Oh,
but
yes. I'm not gonna tell you
but
what to think, but it's this, and if you don't think this, that's absurd.
then I'm just
And
not gonna argue with you
and
anymore
I'm not
because
gonna argue with you
you're just
because
not seeing it."
can I tell you, Brayden, are you playing the game or are you trying to win the game? Which one
I'm
is
gonna
it?
win this game.
Are you? Because it doesn't look like you're playing to win this game. I'm gonna show you how to play Big Brother, okay? I'm gonna show you, because does anybody even know how to play? This is this I am honestly so confused as to how this man is has not I'm confused as to why Roberto is the backdoor um here in
Yeah,
versus looking at someone like Zach.
that's what I'm also confused and I think interested to see because obviously, I mean, spoiler, the episode ended with, like, a to be continued, and I'm just confused as to how, like again, Dan was talking about, I don't know how to, position myself in this house, blah, 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 blah. Well, here you go, babe. There was a big house blowout. Your number one has been exposed. So, like, if it's me, I'm like, okay, now how do I repivot and position myself better for next week? Do you know what I
Abs
mean? So it's like, okay, maybe I don't get rid of Roberto. Maybe I figure
so
out a way
many.
to, connect with him, connect with Santina, because Santina tried to reach out to me. Now there's already three people. You know what I mean? Versus being like, just gonna backdoor Rob. Anyways, love you, Zach. It just seems weird.
I will say, look, and I think we get it here. It's just kind of like, despite, yes, there's no live feeds. I'm glad they're able to show how much Zach is problematic, and how problematic was. And for what he does and says, he really plays too hard. He is a very I think in this sense, he's definitely gonna be slammed coming out of the house with this misogynistic mansplaining vibes. Like, I totally see it.
I mean,
Um,
but does he care? Because he's a very successful man outside the house and has a lot of
yeah.
businesses, so
But I actually, applaud BB Can for being able to show these things, for
of
being able to
course.
show the arguments like like Vanessa's and Zach's, to be able to show well, I mean, if they don't show this, then what kind of, show are they gonna have, right? Probably a very boring one. So I guess it doesn't, but I'm glad that they're able to show some of these things. And um really one of the crazy thing, well, we had a lot. It was a lot today because we
It was
got
very
a
I felt
lot of
heavy
right.
felt.
We got
Yeah.
a lot of this. We got a lot of Zach show, a lot of Zach mansplaining, gaslighting, trying to manipulate what Santina thought, trying to lie his way through not wanting to backdoor Roberto. We
Yes.
got the argument and the blow up between Vanessa and Zach in regard to Hope. And
Listen.
I was all for that. I'm not gonna lie. Vanessa gives me unstable me vibes. Like
Not
when I
unstable me.
like when I don't give two shits. Like, I mean, I wasn't like this in the house because I was really trying to keep my composure.
Of
But a
course.
girl knows if I wasn't, trying to keep myself in check, I would have done a Vanessa. I
No,
totally would have done a
she ate
Vanessa.
that man and left no crumbs. She said, "Oh, keep eating your bacon because 'cause Imma eat you up real quick too. Don't you worry about it." Mhm.
The way she just threw out. I mean, this obviously great TV. Horrible, horrible gameplay on her part because
Oh,
not
of course.
only are people just eating it up and saying like, "Yes, girl, talk about Zach." We're waiting for this to be like the Zach show because I feel like there's a lot of people that are playing a little scared and a little bit more
Always, the
strategic.
first couple weeks, yeah.
Absolutely, this is like the perfect time for her to kind of like throw this out. Everybody sees it, but at the same time, everybody's seeing just how much of a loose
Cannon
cannon
is.
Vanessa is. And so nobody is really like, I think I'm understanding a little bit more as to why we don't see her on dailies, why we don't see her on the show. Like it's, people said it. There were little bits and pieces. We
Yeah.
are seeing, the Kuzi and Zach conversation talking about um she's always complaining about something. She's always crying about something, right? And we don't
Mhm.
see that because I'm not seeing anything in the
Me, I was like,
dailies.
"Oh, that's news to me."
Absolutely. We're just like, where is this girl? She's probably vacuuming the floor somewhere, like with the new shark vacuum. I don't know, that I'm not gonna buy because I completely like boycotted them. But anyway,
Oh,
you know.
wow.
No, but I'm just saying it's just kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, so what is she doing? Okay, she's being emotional. She's being a loose cannon. And I think when that and like I agree. Well, actually, and people in the chat can write agree or
Mhm.
disagree. Braden, you tell me, can emotional players play this game? Like she said, emotional players can play this game. He's saying, Zach is saying that if you are more emotional, you shouldn't be playing this game. Like, who's right in this situation? So, do we agree? Can you be emotional
Ooh.
and play this game to a point where you can get insanely far?
I think that I think it's like I hate to play the middle, but I think you can be emotional, you just can't let emotions run your decisions. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to be, like, upset that, like, you're talking shit about me or whatever, but then, like, when it comes to, like, game time decisions, like, that's when you have to, take your heart out of it and be like, "Okay, now what do I do that's best for me in this moment?" Not necessarily like, "Oh, you pissed me off, so, like, you can take a seat," or like, "I'm gonna spite you." So I think, like, emotional people can play, and again, I also wanna say that not just like crying is emotional, like, being angry all the time or, being overly excited, like those are also emotions. So like,
Yeah, and I feel like Zach is very much that type of person as well because I see Zach being an emotional player. I don't think
Same,
he's
babe.
playing. I don't think he's playing strategically whatsoever. I think that he's playing an angry game. I feel like he's playing like an emotional, like I don't like you. You're bad because I want to control. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a way of control and manipulation is a very emotional, like is an emotional
He seems very
sense.
spiteful, which is just like a very big emotion as well.
Absolutely. I think he uses emotional words and emotional feelings to play, to play this game, but he uses them as a tactic of manipulation. I see all of those things, and I think that he does use that. And I don't look at him and say he's cool, calm, and collective. I mean, half of the time that people have been talking to him, he's been kind of mega um like he looks like
Confrontational,
he's comfort.
abrasive.
Yeah, absolutely. All those words. You took the words right out of my mouth, boo.
I mean, I think it's because I mean, it's so funny that he says like you can't be emotional and play this game when I'm like, I'm pretty sure that literally like 3.5 quarters of this cast are Cancer. So I'm like, yeah, babe, you're all emotional. So I guess you should all go home, babe. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
That's very true. That and there's some Scorpios and Pisces, so we are
that's what I'm
all water.
saying.
This
I'm
this is
like,
like
it's
we're
an
in
emotional house,
water.
babe.
They should call this water worlds. They're
Not
like
Waterworld. Not Welcome to SeaWorld.
welcome to SeaWorld, where all the water signs reside. And just it's wild the type of emotion. But I loved that about it though, because this is why when I saw, and for those people who don't follow astrology, we apologize.
Yeah, they're like, oh
But
girl, go nuts.
because I know some people just don't care about that. But yes, the fact that these are water signs making these calls, and I knew that this was going to be a messy season. It was just like I was like, whoa. I
There's too many
played
water signs. There, like,
I
and
played with
there's
quite a
nothing
few
wrong with being
cancers.
emotional, but it's like, oh, like there will be like a lot of heated
Yeah, so oh
arguments. Like
no, and not
there'll be
not
some
our
crying.
not not our chat being full of the water
Water
signs
signs.
here. There's a Cancer, there's a Scorpio right
I'm just
there.
saying that y'all feel a lot and are very expressive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like, just expect to see it on the show.
Yeah, very much so.
Like, hope
Jewelry says
also. Oh wait, yo, you go.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, Jewelry says she feels like he's treating this season as a business transaction, whereas if it isn't what he wants, then it isn't worth hearing. A weird sales tactic, but effective. But is it effective? Because I feel like people are starting to feel that. Like, I think you have to, when you play Big Brother, there
Mhm.
has to be a fine
Give and
line
take.
between a business transaction and a good hearty, like a good shoulder to cry on or to be with or someone that you feel safe with. Like you don't feel safe during a business transaction. That's not, there's
Mhm.
there's so many highs and lows in that aspect. But if you know that you're going into this business transaction with these feelings of what I feel safe because this business transaction is going to do A, B, and C for me, then that's the emotional side that I feel like he hasn't tapped into yet. Like, it just feels like a really bad. Have you ever been to these networking events and just like where someone's like, "Hi, I'm Bob. Like, what can you do for me?" And it's like, "Excuse me, like what?" I mean, he's like, "What do you do?" And then you go through your pitch, and then they're like, "Okay, bye," and then they just leave. And it just kind of like,
Yeah, I would say that, like, I think he struggles with creating, like, mutualistic relationships, and, like, they seem very, like, parasitic in a way where, like, he's just, like, kind of feeding on everyone, and then people are starting to realize where it's like, "Oh, like, what do I get from working with Zach? Like, I really haven't gotten anything besides, like, this huge target on my back. Like, that's what I get for working with
absolutely."
Zach."
Well, and that's a good a transition going in because I know there's someone who keeps on asking, and yes, Natalie, we are going into that because that has been a big kind of part of to this episode, and
Tomatoes,
obviously,
tomatoes, tomatoes, I'm throwing
yes,
tomatoes.
is Ty, and Ty is literally Zach's right hand man, the man who thinks he knows everything, the Torontonian man,
Also,
um
a small gaslighter, like
Very,
where
very
Claudia's
much
like he's like, "Where'd you come
so.
up with that idea? Where did you even hear that? Who even told you that?" She's like, "I literally talked about it with you." "Well, I don't remember you saying that, so where'd you come up with that? Who told you it?"
I have to say, this is the most awkward showmance I have ever seen. And I was in a house with Holly and Mickey. Like, so that's telling you something. If I was in an already dysfunctional showmance in my house and like I'm looking at what this Claudia and Ty situation is, it's giving me so
It's like, when you, like, know your friend's in, like, a toxic relationship and, like, you be like, "Girl, block him, like, get over it." She's like, "But
block.
I can't." And then you, like, keep seeing her, like, run back to him. It's very that.
Red, like, I honestly am kinda trying to figure out how she does not see the red flags when we look at her in her diary room sessions. She's like, "I want Ty to be my number 1," and it's like, "I'm sorry, what? You want a final 2 with this man?" Like, I have not heard a single piece of, like, gameplay between the 2 of you. Like, when they talk, there is this sense of just untrusting well, and it's absolutely on his side, but
Oh, very much, where, like, he just seems very I don't know, I think he just tries to, like, assert himself as, like, all-knowing and, like, omnipotent compared to her, and that, like, like, "Oh my god, you're so stupid for having that idea," or, like, "Who told you this? Like, why do you have distrust in me all of a sudden?" It's like, "Oh, no, like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you." Like, it really wasn't
absolutely.
that deep, and he's like, "Well, why would you say that Rob's gonna get backdoored? Like, why would you even bring that name up?" It's like, I don't know, I mean, we were all talking about it, like, literally everyone in the house, so, like,
Do you
I
not
don't know.
do you not remember when we discussed that this
Literally
was a
yesterday when
potential,
I
like,
when I asked you if he was gonna go on the block, and you said you
I
didn't know.
yeah, and to be quite honest, like, how shady does it look when we're talking like, if you had a showmance in the house, like, how shady would you think that it looked if every time you talked to the person, you're like, "Well, I don't know. Do you trust me? Do you trust me?" And every time it's gonna be like, "I'm not gonna tell you anything, but do you trust me? Because that's not what's gonna happen. You're safe. Like, this is gonna be okay," and
It
blah, blah, blah.
honestly, it gives, like I'm not gonna lie, it low-key gives, like, cheating husband, and he's like, "Why do you think I'm out with other girls, huh? Oh, it's because you don't trust me. Oh, so, you're the problem here." And it's like, "No, babe, like, you're literally" I think it's just because he's, like maybe it's because he knows he's just, like, constantly lying, so he just, like, feels awkward and, like, feels like maybe she's, like, catching on to him, so he's, like, very defensive. But,
Yeah.
like, it's not coming across cute, babe. Like, it's not it.
It does yeah, it just gives ick. I'm
Oh,
so
instant ick. Every time I'm like,
I feel so icky whenever I see Ty and Claudia on my on the TV or on the dailies because it's like, what is the purpose? What is the meaning of this? You know, like I'm sorry.
eh No, and I think it's like, yeah, like Ty and Claudia, and even like Ty and Zach. Like it's just to me, I'm like, next. Like, this is when I wish there was like feed cameras. You're like, I'm going to camera 4. Like, I can't watch this.
No,
Like,
that is
next.
totally that is totally true. If we were like, and this is one of the things that I could say that's horrible about is about the digital dailies
You're
is
stuck watching it,
just
babe, unless you're gonna fast forward.
absolutely. It's like, wait, hold on. This sucks. I can't click to the fourth camera right now. I can't get myself out of this awkward, meaningless conversation.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I really hope that Claudia really snaps out of it and really realizes what's going on. But I already know that like if Zach goes on the block next week, like Ty's gonna change his little skip hop and tune and be her best friend and be rubbing her back and talk about how much he cares about her and this, that, whatever. And she means so much to him, she's his number one, this, that, whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely I'm waiting for her to wake up. I really need her to see that this ain't it. Like when you've been in already like in 2 weeks, and you know that he knows what's going on and that he has a hand in all of the shady things, then like how long is it gonna take for you to?
Well, very that, and like that was my kind of thing, like not to like jump forward or anything, but like when Vanessa's like exposing you, Zach, and saying that you were trying to backdoor Rob last week, and then you're literally lying to everyone, being like, "No, my God, she's crazy. Oh my God, no, 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 this, that, whatever," and then you're gonna try and do it that week. What do you think that says? Do you know what that tells me? Oh, that tells me Vanessa was telling the truth. You know what that tells me? You lied to
Yeah.
everyone while you were standing there.
Absolutely, and dude has no chill, like, neither of them have any chill whatsoever. You would think that if Vanessa threw this out, people were talking about it, Rob is coming to you and saying, "Is this true?" You're saying no, and then all of a sudden you go on the block. It's like, would you not want to just, like, wait a couple weeks? Be like,
That's what I'm
"Nah, it's
saying.
too hot right now, it's
I'd be
too
like,
hot.
ease it,
We
ease it,
can't do
ease it. You
this."
know what? Let's keep it chill. Maybe let's backdoor Vanessa. Like, maybe she has to get out of here. But like, for now, like, let's just keep it relaxed. Like, I can't be, showing my full hand of cards right away. And instead, he's like, no. Anyways, I'm just like, what's not mathing? Because that's what I'd be thinking. I'd be like, you know what? Let's ease it. Let's not go to Rob this week. Let's make him think, Vanessa's crazy, that she's, coming up with these lies. It's the bros for life. And even when Jonathan goes to talk to him, and he's like, "So what is this about? Like, what are you? Why is there distrust?" He's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. Everyone's talking," and he's like, "Well, why is everyone talking?"
Yeah. I think what confuses me most is that they're doing this with absolutely no people on board. It's like the Ty and Zach show. It's like,
Yes,
how are you convincing Dan of doing this, but yet Jonathan, who's in your guys,
corner
who's in your guys'
allegedly.
corner, is not into this. Like from what it looks like in the dailies, Hope is not in the loop with what is going on as well, because obviously they can't trust him. So like, where are your
Santina's not
numbers?
about
Like,
it.
Santina's not about it, like, and she made it obviously very clear in the season in this episode that she was not
Telling
quite
John,
sure that
yeah.
that was making sense, and then Zach completely dismissed her. So I think it's like, why would you think that putting him on the block and doing this backdoor will not get you in trouble in
Yeah, like, how are
hotter
you so
water,
sure?
and so sure that he's going to be taken out. This is a clear case of, you're not thinking, bro. You're not thinking. It's
Very
just,
much I think it's very much like, "Oh, I ran the house last week, so, like, clearly everything I say will work and everything that I want to happen will happen." But
yeah,
it's like, people have brains and people compare notes, people talk, and people,
absolutely.
I would think, "Oh, if Santina's saying that doesn't make sense to her, I wonder how many other people might be thinking it doesn't really make sense for them to get rid of Rob either."
Yeah. And though I want to kind of talk, and I put it here in the terms and disclaimed spoilers, even though I did not watch today's digital daily, so I'm a little behind. I heard that today's digital daily wasn't all that great. But I do want to talk about, for those who are not watching the digital dailies, what the situation looks like in the house, because as we saw, the very end of the episode, it actually ended with it to be continued, right? So we really don't
Period.
know what is going on, although we really do, right? We do
I mean, we
know.
know what we don't know?
Yeah, so if
I've heard
you
it, I
don't
haven't
know,
seen it.
I was like, if you don't know what is actually happening and you don't wanna get spoiled, now is your time. We're gonna give you a couple of seconds for you to just say,
Peace
"Ciao,
out. Love you
goodbye,
lots.
te quiero mucho, salud," all that good
Thanks for
stuff.
chilling.
Gracias por todo, adios, all the good things, right? So,
Period.
but if you are here, we all know that Rob was backdoored. Zach won the veto, ended up taking Hope off the block, and they
Which
backdoored
also
Rob.
so stupid for Zach because again, like another way to kind of minimize yourself is to be like, oh, Hope's obviously gonna take himself off the block, and regardless, I'll get Rob on the block. So like, let Hope win. I know there's 5K, but like, if you're this, really accomplished businessman and you're really, highly esteemed and you make so much money outside the house, like, what is 5K to you? You know?
Yeah, this is definitely something that he should have definitely yeah, he should have definitely thrown. If he was gonna take
Period.
Hope off anyway, he might as well have let, like, Hope win that. I think the
Exactly.
funniest part and what shows you that Zach knows absolutely nothing of what he's doing is the fact that Ty said, like, "Why did you even win that, bro?"
And he's like,
Like,
"What?"
and he's like, "What? Why didn't you tell me not to win it?" Well, bitch, I'm like, if you're trying to run the whole damn house, I gotta tell
Period.
you to. You're telling me now that it's my fault that I didn't tell you to throw the damn comp, even though you're running around like you own this biatch. Like, come on, what are
Very
we
that.
talking about? Like,
Yeah. It wasn't the smartest move on his part,
it
you
was
know?
not. Like, if you're gonna do this, and like, don't get me wrong, with all due respect, like, don't care for Zach's game. I think
Hey,
he's incredibly entertaining in the house in the sense that we do need that like drama. We do
other
need
side,
someone to
yeah.
not root for, have the other side. He is like playing a little too much, which I love to talk shit about because if you're gonna play too much, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's playing way too hard. Like, who are we gonna talk about if
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
about him?
No, of
I mean, we'll
course.
probably talk about Ty. But at the end of the day, these are people like when they come out, like I'm sure that I'll be, super chill and respectful with them. And I mean, like, come on, if I could be friends with some bro dudes like coming out of this house, and I do have some bro friends that actually love Zach as a player, and I'm just like, that's I don't know. We're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one because that is not my thing. But respectfully, I mean, those, that's how you think. Respectfully, I don't think he's doing a good job
Just
as a
doing too much
winner.
for no
Like,
reason.
I think he said it very, very well. He's like, "Are you trying to play the game or are you trying to win the game?" And for me, I think Zach is trying to play the game. I don't think he has
Very that.
any thought process of like how he's actually going to win this because if he was to win this, he would know that this is a very social game. He's not playing a social game. He's playing a very transactional game.
Well, like I
As,
said, I think that he unfortunately thinks that he's the smartest person in the room. And like I
yes,
said, like when you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're automatically the dumbest. So like I think that's where his like fatal flaw is that he just constantly thinks that like no one can think for themselves and no one else can
absolutely.
like piece things. Like he's like, there's no way that the two people I talked to would ever, cross notes like when Kuzi and Daniel are laying in the bed. And he's like, "Oh, Zach told me that apparently I was an option this week, but he talked to Dan S and got him not to put me up because he's like the same thing to me." So
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. So now like we go into this, we're kind of talking about a little bit more spoilers and this is what I love. A shy boy Simmer says they set these noms up bad too. Like, no offense to Renee, but what can she offer being last at every comp? Yes, this is total like Renee's pawn, but at the same time, they're making it look as if she's a threat. Like, she really is not a competition beast whatsoever. I mean, she's coming in last at in every comp.
mhm.
And at the same time, like what she has right now is two girls, which is Shanaya and Claudia as her. She's playing a
Mhm.
social game, but from it looks like in the dailies and from people talking, it doesn't seem like she really has these numbers to say.
Yeah, she doesn't have that
So
much social capital, it seems. Like she
it
doesn't
does
have like that much
not.
pull.
Let's talk about because if you're not part of the dailies, this has not been shown, and I would assume that this would probably be in tomorrow's episode. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Is the whole Shania and Rob situation, which is
Oh,
actually putting a little bit of a dent into his gameplay. Look, I love me like Roberto is Bobby. He is just
her. Let me get the bill. Like
like I if you win this season, I would not be mad, boo. Like get
same,
your
babe.
this is like pretty privilege going on to a whole other level. Like I'm just like you're cute, so go ahead, win the whole game,
No.
get it, do it. You deserve this. For doing absolutely nothing because you had no idea that your boys were trying to backdoor you. But either way, and I play. This I am totally being very dramatic, so please, for those who know me, but I don't mean any offense to this. But king, yes, Rob is very much king right now. Like he people are the men are low key threatened by him. They know he has charm, they know he has pull, they know he has, a lot of more people on his side, which is why I'm so confused as to why you would want to backdoor him knowing that he has these people versus like throwing in some, like putting in some, I don't know, just trying to, maybe discredit him for certain things or just having a
Mhm.
little bit more time to kind of throw him under the
It
bus or say
honestly
things.
it kinda reminds me of, like, last season when Kyle, like, tried to put up Josh and everyone was like, "What? Like, this guy's not going home." Like, "What do you mean? Like, we love this guy." Like, "What?
Absolutely.
You trying to send home Josh? For what?" Like, "No,
Absolutely.
we're gonna try as hard as we can to make sure this guy stays." So, it just seems very weird, like, too early to be like, "Let's get rid of Rob," and I think that we've kinda seen, like, people like, little whispers and chatters of people being like, "I don't know if it's really smart to get Rob." Like, love Renee, gotta keep the girls strong, but, like, at this point, like, Rob might be our best bet.
Yeah. And for those who don't watch the digital dailies, I think what at least from what I think they're trying to show us is that Zach is actually trying to um blame this and also gaslighting Rob.
Of
And you'll
course.
probably see that in tomorrow's episode of how he's trying to gaslight Rob into thinking that the reason he's on the block is because of the relationship he currently has with Shania, which, okay, for those of you who are not watching, and if you are, God bless you too, because it was one of the most awkward and most embarrassing things I had ever seen. And I like
Oh, them sitting in the
really
kitchen?
enjoy Shania. No, I'm actually going back to the Shania
Oh, you're talking
situation
about
in the
that
room
conversation.
because Shania actually had a moment where she decided that she was gonna throw everything out the window. Forget my game. I want to know where Roberto's feelings are, and I need him to know that I like him and I want to know if he likes me back because this is Love Island. It is not Big Brother. I don't
Hot
care
new
what
bombshell.
anybody tells you. Like people be throwing away their money and their game for I mean, it is also Roberto, so I guess I get it.
Girl, same. Listen, sometimes you just gotta throw a thing at the wall and see what sticks. But the way that he was really like, "That's crazy. No way." He's like, "Oh my god, I love me too." Ah. And she's like, "So you don't like me?" And he's like, "No, I mean, you're great. Like, you're super cool. We'd be great friends outside of this house." And she's like,
Insanely great friends, good friends, good friends. I felt so bad for her, but at the same time, it's like, girl, who would possess you to even that you had to live with this dude. Like it's not a I'm
"Well,
on the
that's
phone
why."
with you, a text. It's not like you
It's
go
on Tinder, you
home.
can disappear after and be like, "Let me
Yeah,
just
like let
ghost."
me disappear, let me hide in my shell. Like you cannot do that. You're gonna see this dude all
That's
the
why
time.
that's why I wonder if, maybe she's a little maybe she's not filled in on the facts, and, like, maybe in her mind, he's for sure going home. So she's like, "Let me just get this off my chest before he leaves," and that way, if he does, love me back, then, like, he'll, support me from outside the house, and we'll be a couple when I leave this place. Like, that's literally the only logical thinking that I could think of because
Except that she said it when he wasn't even on the block yet, right? So he like had no idea that this was even a thing. So I could kind of see it. It's like if it's not this week, then when? But it's almost like this hurts so much. Like I cannot concentrate. He must be this just blindly this good looking and this charismatic for her to just not even be able to focus on game. That's
well, I
that's
mean,
what it
like,
seems.
isn't there only technically, like, 3 of them that are single and, like, one of them is HOH, one of them is in a showmance, and then, there's him,
Actually, yes. Yeah, quite true.
you
But I
know?
mean, but the whole Dan and Shania thing, it seems like they're good, they have a good a relationship with each other, or they tried to, I don't know. There was something going on over there, but I won't
Again,
even
you gotta throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. So, making the rounds,
it
testing the
was just
waters.
I think the girl part of me, like, as if I'm not, like, just a girl, but the girl side, the feminine side of me is just saying, like, "Oh my god, poor Shania, like, I feel for her, girl, this is embarrassing, girl, fuck him, like, he's a dude, whatever." The other part is like, "Girl, no, what possessed you? What was in your right mind to even think about that? Like, why would you just throw and then put him in an uncomfortable situation?" Because here's the thing, this is where I think cultural boundaries, like culturally, there's a difference where like she's just like, but he's been flirting with me. And sure, if you are around a whole bunch of like men, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, like Caucasian men, like that's what you're expecting. That's how Caucasian men flirt. That is a sure telltale sign that they're into you. If you're at bars and you're serving these guys, yes, Shania, you should know how a guy is hitting on you. And that was a sure telltale sign. Except this man's Latino. And them Latinos, like, that's
Hey, he's
all they
half
did.
Italian too.
They
So,
even worse, because when you're half Italian and half Mexican or half Latino, those are still love languages. They speak the same damn language. It's a love language. Like that, like Latin
and guess
is a
what?
love
She's in love,
language.
baby. She's in
And
love.
he sure does know how to say it, and he knows how to, and he's putting his arm around her and he's saying that, but it's because he's an affectionate guy. He's a passionate guy. Actually, I think
Yeah.
he's a Scorpio, which would make it even more. He's a very, very
Mhm.
passionate man. So, and an
Also,
emotional
like,
man.
girl, read the context. Like, look where you are. You know what I mean? Like, you're not at a bar. You're in the Big Brother
The
house.
fact that all of these girls just think it's a-okay to just be in a
I think it's just so
showmance
funny.
as
They're
if
like,
it's not
they're
like,
searching. They're searching hard.
it's like, no, let me not do this because it's gonna put a target on me. They're all like, yes, I'm all for it.
Give me
Give
a
me
showmance,
a
baby.
showmance. Like, I mean, I get it. It gets boring up in there after a while, but
Of course, but like, just get a ride or die or something. Why? And maybe it'll just naturally evolve into love.
I will say, like, Shania, girl, I wanted to love this cast of women so bad. And of course, outside of the house, I'm sure they're amazing. But as far as game players, like, I I I can't take you
Who's
as a game
carrying it? It's
player.
all. It's all on her
She
shoulders.
is definitely, can you please, and people will complain that all she has been doing is being in that bed, but guess what? Everybody's coming to her in that bed. Like, she doesn't
Period.
have to move out of the bed, and that is a-okay to play your game in a bed if everybody's coming to you. But the girl is single-handedly holding down this,
Period.
this game
At
with
least the strategic side thus far. I guess
I
technically Santina, but like,
Santina, let's talk about Santina a little bit because I was a little upset. Still am. I'm not quite ready to give her my stand card. Today was just a
period.
little bit different because I see that she is trying to kind of turn tables on
That
Mr.
part.
Zach. So that part really does intrigue me, and I'm like,
Same.
can
I want to see where this is
she?
gonna go.
Like, what are we seeing from Santina as she like starts bringing her guard down, as we start to see a little bit more of her, as we start seeing who people trust, because she was saying that um that she felt manipulated into her decision about getting rid of
Hmm.
JM. And as we said before in last week, this was not a good call for half of that house. Like, it did not make sense to
Yeah.
get rid
Get rid of
of
him.
JM. And I think she sees it now. What, some people just take a little bit longer to see the light, and that's fine.
Of course.
um this all women's alliance, I'm sure it is non-existent at this point, um because I haven't seen any girls align with anything. Actually, I don't think that there are many alliances, period. I think there's just
That's like I don't
have
know if we're just
alliances
not
even been
seeing
made?
them. That's what I'm just wondering, like, I just don't know if we're just not seeing them, or if everyone's just kind of literally, like, chilling, like, the whole house is just, like, solo agents.
Yes, I don't know. This is what I'm getting. We're not seeing this.
Mhm.
Obviously, we are seeing we saw the female alliance with the Savage
Yeah.
sisters, right? We saw that, but JM was technically a part of that Savage sisters. So,
Mhm.
and he's out, and now we have Renee on the block, and but none of the girls aside from Shania and Claudia are actually looking like they will vote for Renee. So we know that Anika and Kuzi are not on that side to keep Renee, as
Mhm.
is Santina. Santina's not thinking about keeping Renee either. So it looks like, even though Rob is being backdoored, that he does have a good amount of numbers to stay.
And I could see
Like,
Daniel keeping him as well.
yes, I think what we are seeing now, that we didn't see last week, is that there is a solid 3 within the Anika, Kuzi, and Daniel, relationship. They are
Mhm.
a very tight 3. Yes, because we were saying this in the cast
Period.
assessment. I needed a Kuzi Daniel thing. I
Period,
did not
dynamic
think
duo.
Anika. I'll be honest, I did not think Anika was gonna be in that
Give me
mix.
both, babe.
But I love the way that Kuzi is really working the relationship with her. I think that Anika has a loyal, sis in her, and it,
Yes.
like, really looks up to Kuzi as far as, like, what Kuzi has to offer and the thoughts that are going on. And I think that this is gonna be a very dangerous 3, and you're right. This is a point where it's like there's 2 sides, but that middle is hella strong. Like, there's a
No, I
lot of
agree,
people
and
in
I
that
think
middle.
that something that I think is very useful for Kuzi is that I think kind of like what we thought, I think people think that Anika's kind of just like there and like they'll just like talk to her and don't really think that she's, collecting info. And listen, that girl, I'm sure, is bringing it all to Kuzi and it's like, yeah, so this person was talking and they brought this up in front of me because, they think I'm just like, here to be a social media star. But like, guess what? They told me this, and this. And, if it's going to help Kuzi out, I'm here for it.
Yeah. If someone says, if there's one bad thing about Renee leaving, is that she's the biggest fighter for the girls.
I
And
would agree.
I agree. And I think that that's very sad. Um but here's the thing. Like, when you are looking at it, and I think this is how the rest of the house is seeing this as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brayden, but it's just,
Mhm.
you can't keep someone who's not good. I mean,
Beneficial.
that's not beneficial to your game. And when I mean beneficial, I mean, it's great that she would be one vote for me, but she's not gonna help me win HOH. She's has time and time again kind of shown that she can't win comps. And then, I don't know, at least from what I've seen, it seems like she's very stuck on the "I'm with Claudia and Shania, and we're talking about boys" type of situation here. It's not
Yeah.
a "let's game, let's really get this together."
I think it's hard because I think since it's so early in the game, like your vote isn't as like strong as like it could be like later on in the game. So like just being like I'm a vote for you, it's like, yeah, babe, but there's also, 10 other people voting. So like, you're 1/10 of the power of this house versus, in a couple weeks, like you could be 1/5 of the power in this house, which is a big difference.
Absolutely.
Um I would say though, like for her, like if I'm her trying to campaign, I'm just like, I'm a supporter for the girls. I'm always gonna ride for you guys. I'm loyal. I'm not stupid, but also, like, you witness that you can beat me in a comp versus like you're not gonna beat Roberto. So like, if you want a better chance at winning the next HOH or the next veto, and I'm there, like you have a better shot at winning against me versus if you're running it against Roberto.
See, and I can see that, except that we're not on week 4 or 5 or
Yeah, and
6.
that's the
Like,
issue.
so let's get real. It's one of those things where, who do you get rid of? The people that aren't really serving your game. And I can, we've done this on, on my season, because we got rid of people while some of the bros were in the hot seat, and we would get rid of the other people because it just was not time to get rid of those people. And because here's the thing, like, who if we get rid of a Rob who we know is 100% going to be going after a Zach. Like, who else has the power to be able to get rid of
Oh.
Zach? Definitely not Renee. Like, so in this case, it's just kind of like, yeah, I can't beat Roberto, but I also can't beat Zach, and I need someone to beat Zach. And I think this is like more so
Mhm.
Santina's thought process is just
Very
like, no,
that.
I need to keep Roberto because I'm already seeing that Zach is unreliable and is just too much of a liability. So,
Mhm.
like, we need to get rid of him. And it's not going to be her. She's not going to do it. She would rather
I
keep
agree.
the boys, the boys
That's at
at
least where my thought
fighting.
process would be as well, where I'd be like, well, it seems as though all the guys have kind of turned their back on Rob, so he kind of doesn't have anyone. And so like that's a great opportunity for us to be like, listen, if we give you your vote, then like you need to be loyal to us moving forward. And it's not
Yeah.
hard for Zach or for Rob to be like, okay, I'll get out Zach next week. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels natural. It's not something that wouldn't be out of character at the moment.
Yeah. So what are we looking? So now we're looking at, just to kind of come out full circle. Even though we didn't see it in today's episode, we do know that Roberto did get backdoored. He
Mhm,
is now on the block, and he will be facing elimination tomorrow with Renee.
mhm.
There are a lot of people who say that Roberto can win this in terms of blindsiding. I mean, this would be, I think, was it Joseph that said that? Would this be counted as a successful backdoor stay for Robert? Actually, it would be a completely failed backdoor, but a successful blindside. That's what
Yeah,
it would be considered in Big Brother terms, because the backdoor did not happen. I mean, they backdoored him in sense like that they put him up and he didn't know, but they weren't successful in the actual
getting him
eviction,
evicted.
right? And getting evicted. So that means that it would have been a successful blindside to the other team because they thought they were able to do what they couldn't. Um, or
Very that.
or they thought they were able. Yeah, I said that right, right?
Yeah,
That
you said it
sounded so
correct.
weird. It sounded
No,
so
I
weird to me.
agree. From what the digital dailies are showing, and even from like this episode, to me at the moment, it seems like for sure, or I guess not for sure, but people seem to be most likely leaning to keep Rob or like Anika. I'm assuming Kuzi, Daniel, probably Santina. John doesn't want to get rid of him, and like that's already 5 votes, and I think he only
Absolutely.
needs 6.
Can can I say yes, yes, but can I also say, because I just want to say this. I love Jonathan as well. Like, today's Jonathan moment on the show was just absolutely everything that I thought he was going to be in the in the cast assessment,
Very
because I was
that.
like, he's going to be the genuine, like, caring,
Very
charismatic,
loyal.
very loyal, like, type of guy. Today's episode alone, if he does not win Canada's favorite player, I will be shocked. Absolutely shocked. Because today was one of those days where he's just like, I'm here for the loyalty, and I'm
Mhm.
here for my guy. And, his losing, with the story about his mother, and, all of these things. I was like about to tear. I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh, this guy. But also, if people have been watching the digital dailies, we'll see that, Anika, well, this all happened in yesterday's digital daily. So I want to say, for those who haven't watched and don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back into the digital dailies from yesterday and watch all of this play out. But basically, it was Jonathan talking about Roberto to Anika and Kuzi, and literally coming out of that conversation, they looked at each other and they're like, "We want Rob to stay." Like, I think single-handedly, Jonathan just convinced them with probably not even wanting to, like, convinced
Mhm.
that they were going to do this. I think that if they do get rid of Roberto, it will be another mistake just as well as the JM
Yeah.
situation. Um, and I think that they're very aware of that, and I think especially Kuzi, because Kuzi's been very, very vocal about it and talks about, like, how she felt like she didn't have the power to be able
Mhm.
to
Do
do what
anything or go
do what
against the
yes, to go
majority.
against or do what she needed to do, but that this situation was different, and I think that they can really, work that through. She also said something that I completely agree with, is she says, like, that they, uh they might have the powers in, like, on the sides, but they have the power in the numbers and in the votes.
Mhm.
And true, they are core swing, the swing vote. Like, you cannot have one side versus the other without having those core three people, which is Daniel,
Mhm.
Kuzi, and Anika. And actually, even well, I don't even know where Vanessa lies in this. I thought that Vanessa and Kuzi had, like, a good relationship, but it seems like maybe Vanessa's just too loose of, too much of a wild card for anybody to really, like, talk game with her or
Explain
do
to, yeah.
anything or explain things to, especially after this blow up with Zach and him throwing things in her throwing things in his face about how he wanted people out. I think that
Mhm.
that is even going to create more distrust within, house guests to confide in her, because they'll find her as kind of like
Yeah, like, I
the
don't
most.
wanna tell her something in case she blows up at me and wants to
Absolutely.
expose
We
me.
know that that's gonna happen. Um, Let me see. Someone said, there's so many Rob's hot comments on Twitter. Absolutely. Because it's no lies. No lies are told in that in those tweets for sure. And I think what makes him even cuter is just like he does seem like he's just a genuinely nice guy. Like,
Mhm.
it's true. Like, Shania told him, I care about you and I want to know where this is. And he completely friend zoned her in,
Yeah,
like,
he was
the
judgmental at
nicest
least,
way,
yeah,
in the
and lead her on.
nicest way possible, in the most respectful way possible. And the way he said it to Zach, he said, like, I could have just let that ride out. I could have been an ass and I could have let, her believe things just to play the game, but I'm not like that. And I think that there's something
Very mature.
very mature about that. And yeah. I said I would say Vanessa is definite if Rob campaigns saying he'll go against Zach. Absolutely. Um, yes. Roberto is making people thirsty in and out of the house, I think. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's, I think, did I get everything,
I think
Brayden? Did
so,
I
yeah.
I
That
think
sounds
we
like
discussed
everything.
I think we talked about pretty much everything. I had all of these notes and I'm
Not
just
the
like, wait,
notes.
wait, wait. Yeah. So really this seems like it's Roberto's to lose. I don't know
I just
if Renee, we haven't seen any of Renee's gameplay. We haven't seen much of her campaigning. So
Yeah, I think that, like, honestly, from, like, the things that I've been hearing and, like, things that we saw today, I'll be very shocked. I will be blindsided if Rob goes home.
I
And I think
think
I'll just kind of be, like, disappointed, to be honest, because 'cause I'll be like, "Oh, like, y'all really are just playing Zach's game at this point."
absolutely. And I think this will be amazing if they would get this blind side, to see the look on Zach's face, to
Oh,
see
and
that this,
ties. I need them to
and Ties
be
as well.
knocked down a peg, you know?
Absolutely. Like, they're this is just way too confident and cocky for me. Like, them two have just really, they need a little bit of a waker upper moment,
Oh, they need a reality check for
Yeah.
sure.
And we know how this happens, because even the most confident of players end up becoming a hot mushy mess of a player once they are no longer in power and they're on a block, and they
Oh,
finally
yeah.
feel what it feels to
Start to crumble
be.
real quick.
Yeah, they definitely start to crumble. So I'm really, really excited to see this, you know this kind
Me
of
too.
bro
That's what I'm saying,
duel.
like, I hope, if not, like I said, I'll just be, like, disappointed, where I'll be like, "Oh, well, that's crazy." Bye,
In
yeah.
I will have to say, and everybody in the chat, if you're there and you're close to your keyboards, let us know your number. But what would you rate this out of a 1 to 10, the episode? What, or the week, or the episode? I guess the episode in general.
Like, out of all time or, like, just the season?
This season, I mean, we started kind of low. I feel like people were giving the season like 5, people maybe 4 or something like that. But I think that it's kind of gone up a little bit. I'm actually very much enjoying this season.
I'll agree with Joseph, it's giving 7.
It's giving 7. 7 is good. 7's not bad.
Yeah.
I
I just
an
think that,
8.
like, literally without the Vanessa fight, boring. Like, I literally would've been like, "Huh."
You think it would be? Oh, I can see it. Where we go.
I think this episode, yeah, because it would've just been, like, Zach telling everyone what to do again.
But we also got that very last minute, like,
Oh,
I
the Santina
know
thing.
Zach was in it. Zach was in it with everybody today. He had it in with Santina. He had it in with Jonathan. He had it in with Vanessa. He had it even in with Rob. Like at some point, it was just the way he was just giving defensive, this defensive
Yeah.
little man.
Well, I think like you said, like, I think that he thought that he was a lot more controlling over people than he's realizing, and, like, I think he didn't realize that, like, oh, it's just week 1 and people are just trying to, slide by and not be the first one evicted and, like, just trying to lay low and be cool. So they're like, okay, I guess if, like, the person who's talking the loudest wants to do this, then let's do that. But now they're like, no, 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 babe, I came here to play my own game. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, you can say what you want, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
I'm excited. I'm so
It'll be
I'm
good.
so I'm so excited for tomorrow. So the hope here and what we think, I think we would we'll give it an 80. I'm gonna give it an 85 on my part, an
Okay.
85% for Roberta to
Wow.
stay. Is that
Oh,
high?
yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, no. I thought you said I thought
Oh,
you
you
were gonna
thought
give like
like
the episode was like a 90%. I was like, oh wow. Look at you
no, I
go.
really liked it, but I it's definitely was not like one of my favorites. I didn't even like the veto comp. It was kind of a shitty veto comp
I
in
was
my
like, oh,
eyes.
90%, girl. Wow, 85, 90. I was like, okay.
No, I would probably give it I would probably be right there with you. I think I'd give it a
Yeah, it's like
7.
it was good.
It was good. I
I
didn't
wasn't like,
care for the
but
like, I mean,
it
to
was
me,
chill.
like, that veto comp was definitely not as good as the last veto comp, right? Like, it wasn't,
Very enough.
it was a little weird. I mean, obviously, I get it. It's a,
I was also
sponsor-inspired
yeah.
veto.
I was just confused as to why no one was all doing what Zach was doing. Like that was my immediate thought. Was like, let me just grab a million of them and then just lay them next to me.
Yeah, that
I was like,
didn't
why are we
make
grabbing one by one? Like, what's going on? Everyone's like, I think it goes here.
I think it's the star. Oh no, this one's the circle. I think this one might be the triangle.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
don't
oh.
understand.
I was like, grab them all, girl. Throw them on the
Yeah, just
floor.
take them
Literally.
all, put them
But
everywhere.
back to what you were saying, no, I would agree. I think it's like 85% that Rob stays. Like I said, I think I'll just be
Mm.
like disappointed if he goes. I'll be like, I think you guys are just making a bad decision.
So disappointed. And at this point, we definitely still need a couple of guys to just like I still need to see. I'm having a fun time watching the guys go after each other.
Yeah,
Yes, that is the hope. We will see what transpires tomorrow. I'm really hoping
period.
for good, for something good. If anybody, just I want to tell people, if you haven't already, click like, subscribe, click to receive those notifications. Oh no, not you breaking things.
Literally a
What?
nightmare.
Click like, subscribe, and click to receive those notifications. That helps us with getting more attention to this channel. We are here every Wednesday after the episode, and
Period.
we are hoping to have some people,
Some special guest.
um, some special guests coming in the next couple weeks. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have someone today and we could not have them, which made me
It'd
really,
be
really
like that
sad.
sometimes,
But it'd be
but
like that sometimes, we kind of have to roll with the punches, and that's okay.
that's
For
that.
those of you who are looking for a place to watch these live, I keep on saying live feeds. I should not be saying that. Wow. Digital dailies or the show itself, and you want to watch it live, make sure to go into our boys Bruno's channel on kick.com/Capone Gaming, and you can watch it with a community of people, us included, and we just kind of shoot the shit, watch and talk as we're watching the episode and the dailies. Yeah. So just wanted to give our boy Bruno a big shout out. And yes, we love you all. Brayden, I love you so much. We
I
have so
love
much
you
fun on
too.
these.
Always a
Yes.
blast. And
Yes.
I love having everyone here. We love the input.
Absolutely. We appreciate and love each and every one of you. Thank you for supporting